Welcome to Meeple Podcast, Season 4.
Welcome friends, today on Meeple Podcast we have Otto Ikonen, the Finnish Carcassonne champion, better known on BGA by the nickname Nallerheim. Welcome Otto.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
How old are you and what do you do for a living?
I am 24 years of age and currently I study game programming in a University of Applied Sciences in Kajaani.
How does it feel to be the champion of your country?
Simply put, it feels amazing. I have now achieved the title in both of the games I've considered myself to be more than good at, the second one being Clash Royale. And getting to go to Germany means that playing both of those games has enabled me to travel abroad to countries I've never been in before. The title itself also provides a certain type of status, which makes quite many fellow players recognize either my real name, my aliases, or even both. I think that's at least somewhat cool.
You are the successor of Rasmus Raurala, Ramutzero on BGA, to whom I owe an interview on the podcast since last year. What is the relationship between the Finnish players? Because so far you have not participated as the team in any of the 4 WTCOC editions that have been played, and your neighbors from Norway have.
This is a tough question since I haven't been in contact with my fellow Finnish players all that much during my Carcassonne quote-unquote career. I think it was only just this year that I even talked a bit more with any Finnish Carcassonne players, although coincidentally it was specifically with Rasmus, as he approached me in hopes of forming a team to take part in the World Team Championships of Carcassonne with. It doesn't seem that Finnish players talk to each other much at all online. Maybe it's because of the sheer number of more advanced Carcassonne players in Finland is so low, or maybe we just only talk online when we absolutely have to, just like in real life. It's worthwhile to mention that this is of course just my own perspective and the reality could be very different. On the other hand, in the live event we had for the Finnish Championship, I saw how well all of the players, no matter their age, came together and just generally had a great time. Therefore, I would argue that if more live Carcassonne events for the Finnish players were to be organized, we would end up forming a tight and relaxed friend group. Perhaps that same group could also participate in WTCOC some year. Who knows?
You have the highest elo of any player from Finland. Have you prepared completely focused? Because in your BGA profile you say exactly, if I directed even half the energy I put into Carcassonne into actual studies and work, I'd be close to Elon Musk levels.
I always try to improve myself in games such as Carcassonne, which I find myself to be playing quite actively and with a passion. Sometimes I just like to pass some time with it, even if I wasn't at my best or the most focused. However, when it comes to playing in any kind of tournament, I'm taking no prisoners or cutting slack. I come in prepared, focused, and dangerous. Winning is always more enjoyable than losing, and anyone who says the opposite does not have the correct mindset for competing with the best.
Tell us about the Finnish National Championship, the format, if there were qualifiers, or if it is a championship you can join, and how was your way to the final victory?
Since the Finnish Carcassonne scene is very small, there is only one live Carcassonne event held every year. It's organized as part of a much larger event called RopeCon, which has heavy focus on RPG and board games in general. Anyone who has bought a ticket to RopeCon has the right to sign up to play for the Finnish Championship of Carcassonne. The championship event was held as a traditional Swiss system tournament. There may be some annual changes, but I can't comment on those since I have only taken part once. The first stage was getting through to the semi-finals. Everyone played a total of 4 best-of-1 matches. With Swiss system in use, it meant that your opponent was always bound to have the same amount of current wins as you, with the first opponents being randomized. I got paired up with Rasmus as my first match. It didn't end all too well, as I lost the game by around 30 points. My meeples got stuck for too long, and thus I didn't have the resources to fight for a massive 30-point field. On top of that, I also faced a fair bit of misfortune with the monasteries, which I wasn't happy about. It was an unfortunate start, but I managed to recuperate from the initial loss and went on to win all the rest of my matches of the Swiss stage. All Swiss stage matches except for the one against Rasmus were fairly straightforward. Rasmus was undoubtedly one of the few more experienced players in the event this year. That might have brought slight pressure for me, as well as the fact that it was the first live tournament I've ever taken part in Carcassonne. I finished the Swiss stage in 3rd place. First place finisher Tarmo Veijonen had a perfect 400 score. Second place Rasmus with 310, and 4th place finisher Teivo Teivainen with a score of 211. In the semis, 1st place finisher fought against 4th place finisher, and I fought against Rasmus. I was honestly quite nervous going into our match, as I had already lost to him earlier on, and the matches were still best-of-1 formats. Almost throughout the whole match we were pretty much neck and neck, with both playing a solid game, but during the final 10 tiles or so I received quite a boost to my points, as I basically got fed with some nasty tiles and was able to nearly complete a full monastery, as well as connect myself to a large ruin that Rasmus had been building throughout the whole game bit by bit. I don't remember the exact score, but I don't think the point difference in the end was more than 10. There was a lot of relief and excitement knowing that I was now in the finals. In the finals I played against Tarmo Veijonen. I had never heard of him before, but seeing his score of the evening being a clean 500, I knew it was going to be a difficult match. It became more obvious after the first 20 tiles or so that he had played a lot of games before. He was constantly making great moves, and even a little unorthodox ones. There wasn't much blocking during our game, so both of us were building our features quite freely. A relatively big field formed up early on, with a threat of few other smaller but still significant ones that used the same castles. I was in a meeple disadvantage after around half the tiles were gone, and couldn't really use monasteries in an effective way. so I ended up using quite many tiles just to fight for the field. Road monasteries ended up being the decisive part in the end. I received both of them and also used them both to connect 2 of my meeples to the main field, another one of them on my very last tile, so the painful excitement lingered in the air until the very end. It's not the first time an important game has been decided by a coin toss. It's somewhat of a bittersweet moment to win like that, but I still rejoice as I know I put up a great fight in the event altogether, and I think I can offer at least the same challenge to all other players in the world as I did for my fellow Finns.
What do you think is the key to win a national tournament that is a World Championship qualifier? Because the best player doesn't always have to win.
Key element in any tournament is being able to stay calm and collected. No one can win every single one of their games and matches, at least without having to face major problems. Panic mode will not do any good in these situations. It will only be the cause of greater mistakes and eventual losses.
9,000 games in BGA in only 2 years, practically all of them in Carcassonne, and you are already national champion and have one of the highest levels of any player in BGA. What does this master level elo means to you?
Well, besides being nice to look at, a nice rank on the website, it is a personal metric of my playstyle at any given moment. Staying above the master rank is something I try to preserve as well as I can. If I drop lower, for me it's a sign that I'm not playing at my best. Usually it means that, for example, I'm making lots of mistakes on miscalculating tiles, playing too much on intuition, and not taking enough time to assess the situation, or just being frustrated due to losing multiple games in a row for whatever reason, even if they were just casual games and not competitive in any way. Although perhaps not competitive is not the right term to use, since in all honesty, fighting for the top ranks in Board Game Arena is always a competition. Otherwise you wouldn't see the best players not playing a single Carcassonne game in weeks once they're sitting on the number 1 rank.
How do you face an event like Essen? Although this year it will be in Herne, winning the World Championship gives you the greatest of illusions because you reach the maximum milestone on an individual level, but it also takes away the excitement of the immediate future after reaching the top. Could you change your goals, or could you keep them if you became world champion?
I don't think winning the world championship would push me away from Carcassonne. Quite the opposite, actually. Perhaps what I'm about to say is arrogant, but so be it. If one really wants to become known worldwide for a long time, they have to win the title more than once. If you win it one time, you might be in the minds of people for a couple months. However, when a new champion is crowned, many forget the previous one. But if you manage to win the title several times, especially in a row, people often start giving you nicknames in a joking manner, and will thus remember you longer and even through something else than the actual title. There is always something to reach for after winning the World Championship. 16 championships have been held thus far, with 12 different winners overall. Getting your name in the elite group of winners is one thing, but how many of them have won more than once? Only two people ever since 2006 have had the chance and have succeeded in winning the title 2 or more times. Now, I wouldn't mind belonging in that even more niche group of people someday myself.
This year is special because there are players who have reached the semi-finals of the WTCOC with their teams, or won the main sports Olympiads. What is your opinion on this?
I think it's a great addition that there have been more opportunities to get the right to compete with the very best. One-time qualifiers each year are a painful system, and since the World Championships are the biggest Carcassonne event every year, it's fantastic news that you don't have to rely on being at your best at one given date, but can still fight for the spot even if you didn't get the right to compete via traditional means of being the champion of your country. Every qualifier that has granted someone the right to represent their country in the World Championships has had players with extreme skill competing in them. It has been some impressive work to get yourself through from any of these qualifiers.
Of all the things you have been learning about Carcassonne, some of them became automated, so they are not so obvious anymore. But what do you think a player of your level has to pay more attention to during the course of a game? What is the most difficult thing for you?
Time management. Using too much or not enough time mid-game and leaving too little or too much of it for the end game. Neither of those options is optimal, as they both lead into rushed thinking either mid-game or end-game. With a 15-minute time limit being the standard one in tournaments, it's very important to take your time on critical tiles and situations whilst still not messing up the rest of your performance with rushed decisions. This is particularly vital in a zero-sum games. As of right now, I'm trying to learn how to tile track efficiently throughout the game so that I could save myself some precious time for endgame situations.
Any useful tips to improve our level of play?
Take time to watch some high-quality gameplay of expert and master-level players. Watch game analysis videos, analyze your own games, and ask for some tips and tricks from your opponents if you think they played well.
Do you see yourself as the champion of this edition, or is it necessary for the stars to align to become the best player in the world?
I'm going in with the mindset that I think I possess the skill needed to take down any other player. I'm not expecting to win the event, but I have set a firm goal for myself of being at least in the top 16. I think I still need a little more experience with live tournaments before I can feel being as comfortable at a table as I am online, and thus further increase my chances of taking the World Championship crown.
What is the meaning of your nickname, Nallerheim?
Well, a few years back I bought a ticket to a stand-up comedy show and started following some of their social medias. A couple days after, one of the comedians gave a shout-out to a Finnish artist who had made several paintings and posters of a character named Nallerheim. I liked very much of the poster the comedian said was on sale and bought one for myself. Later on, I found Board Game Arena and needed a new alias for myself, as I did not want to use the one I had before anymore. That's when I took a look at the poster and went with Nallerheim. My profile picture on Board Game Arena is taken off the same poster.
Do you want to tell us something I haven't asked you so far?
Well, since there is a chance to do it, I want to congratulate everyone who has received a spot to the World Championship one way or another. I'm looking forward to meet all of you in here to get to see faces behind the nicknames.
Tell us an anecdote about the game that you haven't shared with people who know you, either online or face-to-face.
I had a study assignment to organize a fully fledged lesson to a group of 2 people or more with a subject of my own preference. Being the gamer that I am, I chose to hold a lecture of Carcassonne for beginners for my 2 little brothers. After the lecture was over, I gathered some feedback from them. Their answer surprised me, as they said that going a bit easier on the formality wouldn't hurt. since they felt like they were in an actual classroom. I hadn't noticed it myself, but apparently playing Carcassonne on a more serious level also causes me to be quite demanding, as I really want the message to go through. In the end, both of them did learn how to play the game on a base level, so I'd say the lecture was a success nonetheless.
We wish you good luck in Germany and above all to enjoy your best game.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be featured here.
Thank you for your presence on Meeple Podcast. To the listener, I see you on the next episode. Bye bye.